Well. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Blue King Crab's gaming channel. And today we're going to do a continuation on the little bitty guys over here. We're going to be putting on those highlights and maybe getting the second accent colors on, and then possibly the wash, but we'll see. We'll either do one or two accent colors today. We'll either do two or three accent colors today, and if we don't get to them, we'll do them in the next video. But let's get started, shall we? First off, this is my wet palette. It is a sponge inside of a 3D printed container, and there's a top and a bottom half. And there's this little bitty brace here, and this brace goes inside to keep the parchment paper from curling up. But first, I gotta cut me a piece. So what I do is I take me a piece of parchment paper like this. There is a side that's curly. I try to put the curly side down, and then I'll use the other side to actually put it in there. That way it curls back down. But you just kind of put it on here like this, and take a marker, doesn't really matter what kind, and then just outline the sides. It doesn't need to be perfect. You're just trying to get something on there, right? And then you take a pair of scissors and you just cut it out. You can cut basically right on the line, or just inside of it, or on top of it. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect. We're just getting that, you know, eventually we're going to throw this thing away, right? So I wouldn't stress too much about it. I'll try to find the link of this, because I got it off Thingiverse, for those who maybe want to print it. I'll look for it online. But once you have that, you see how there's a curl of this, kind of like where it goes around. I'm going to put it down like this. That way it has a more possibility of standing straight. So when we put this on inside of the sponge like this will help it keep it straight down, and it'll help it keep it straight since we're using that curved side. However, first we got to get this thing wet. So what I do is I put it inside of the lid, and then I add just a little bit of water from my trusty old Solo cup here. So a little bit of water, and then we just get this paper wet. It doesn't need to be soaked, and I'll show you what I do with the water afterwards. But we get both sides of it like this, just to get it all nice and wet. Yeah, because we want this paper to be nice and wet, and then the sponge will keep it moist for you know, the rest of the time. But then once it's like that, right, once it's all nice and wet, then we can come over here. Again, we put the curly side down, and then we put our handy dandy little tool in there like that. Make sure we get all the bubbles out of there. We don't want any bubbles. We want direct contact with the sponge as much as we can. Yeah, just kind of push those out of there. There we go. Dang, we still got a little bit of air bubbles here. See if I can try to get those out of there. Ah. That's close enough. That is pretty close. But now we have our complete, and then we have this little bit extra water. I usually just pour some on top, get it all on top of there, get us nice and, you know, juicy, and then the rest can go into the Solo cup or the pickle jar, whichever one you got. And then for that, all that wet stuff right there, we can just use a paper towel and get that cleaned up like that. But that's basically it for my 3D printed wet palette. Obviously this was crazy cheap. I think the most expensive thing was the sponge itself. Alright, but we gotta get to painting. So we're gonna be doing these guys again. Let me see if I can give myself a little more light here. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so on the palette here, we're gonna be doing a little bit of Army Painter's Scar Tissue, a little bit of Red Dragon, and then at the very end we're going to be putting this Agrax Earthshade Gloss, specifically the gloss. Now you could get regular Agrax Earthshade, which I do. I mean, I thought I had some over here. I guess. Oh wait, there's this right here. Oops. You could use regular Agrax Earthshade, and then all you do is just put a gloss varnish on top of it. Now I'm going to be putting a gloss varnish, not a gloss varnish, a matte varnish over this gloss, so it'll take it down a little bit, since I don't want exactly a gloss varnish on these to be like way overpowering. And then if you do a gloss varnish, you might get some on the base, and I want my base to be matte. If you take a look here, I think we talked about this lady in the last one, but I don't think I finished her. I finished her off screen. But she has a matte base and a glossy finish on her. It's just to add a little bit of, you know, variance between the two. That's the only reason why I do the gloss Agrax and then a matte varnish. Okay. First off, we're going to start though with is the Scar Tissue. So again, we're just kind of getting this all nice and wet here. Just put a little bit down, something like that. Not a whole bunch. And today we'll be using basically only this brush, and then if we did get to the wash, we'll be back to the 8. These are the only two brushes that I use. I use a 0 round brush for a fine point, and then I use basically a wash brush, which is just an 8 point, because I found that it has a nice, I don't know what they call this, but to contain paint, it has a big round, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, we got the water over here to keep this nice and pointy and clean, because we don't want our brushes to get dirty. I gotta take my old man glasses off, or maybe not. No, I think I gotta keep my old man glasses on today. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It's just what it is. Alright. And if we look at, I don't have it here. What I'm basically just trying to do with this pink is I'll touch all these little like pustule looking things, and I'll give him a little bit of accent around his face if I can. I don't think I can on this one. And then maybe a little accents on his arms and stuff like that, but really diluted. So here though, we want these to be pretty bright. So we're just going to touch, again, my arms are completely on my table. I'm using my finger to rest on my actual model base here, and then we're just going to touch these. Just touch them. These don't need to be perfect. These don't need to be perfect because actually I'm going to paint this little nipple right here, because once we put the wash on them, they're going to dilute a little bit, and then any little maybe imperfections that we put on there, they're going to be hidden. Maybe just a little more. I want it to be a little bit runnier. Army Painters make some good paint too. They're just a little thick in my opinion. Well, the ones I got anyway. It could be that they're in this cold basement, so that could be it too. And I know it's hard to see, but I have just like the littlest bit of paint on the tip there, just enough for me to touch this and call it a day, you know? Like that's what we got on there. Let's see if there's any on the back. Ooh, there's some good ones on the back here. So we will do the same here. Just kind of touch these little spots. They're going to give them some accent, right? And then really draw out the rest of that flesh tone for us. And I want this one on his cheek, right here on his cheek. You see that one right there? I want that little spot right there. And that little cheeky. Actually, let me zoom in maybe. Maybe you can see it a little bit better now. He's got a little bitty pink spot right here on his cheeky. Okay. Those are pretty good. Now let's water down our paint a lot. So I have a little water pot right here. So I'm going to try to bring some of this paint over here. And get it to like a thick milk consistency. We want it really thin. This way we can really get that stuff in there for almost like a highlight, kind of like a wash. And we're going to just put a little bit here on these highlight spots. So we're just going to touch these areas. The back here too. On his arm, I think. Kind of on these high spots, I think, is probably the best area to put them. And I'll put a little bit up on top here. I think I like that. And then we'll put a little bit over here too. And don't worry if this looks really contrastian. We're going to be putting a wash on here, right? So they should hide a lot of that for us. But really all this is doing for us is just trying to get, you know, a little bit of differentiating colors on here. So when you're looking at this, it's just not a smorgasbord of just the pale. And there's no real rhyme or reason to this for me. It's more of, where do I think the light's going to hit, and where do I think it'll look okay once... Oops. Where do I think it'll look okay once that actually gets hit with a varnish? You know, I'm going to put a little bit here on his belly. This might be a bit much, but we're gonna try it out. Just a little splotchy here and a little splotchy there. And hopefully you can see just how watery this is. Because I don't want a whole lot of, contrast or pigment here. It's just a little bit. And that's going to be it for the pink. We're going to let that fully dry. And we're going to move on to the next one. This one should be the same guy. We're going to completely clean off our brush every time we go to a new one. I know this is supposed to be like speed painting, but we're not really speed painting. We're painting at my speed. We're painting at my speed. Yeah, this guy's going to be the same. I'm going to try to paint all the same areas that I did before. That way they're kind of consistent, but allow myself just a little bit of creative freedom to make each of them just a slight bit different. Maybe that's done with the wash. Maybe that's done with these little highlight areas. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this yourself too. Like, they don't need to be exactly the same every single time. And in fact, I think even though they're the same sculpt, painting them just a slight bit different, I think is going to give you a good amount of variation. So the players aren't like, oh, it's this guy again, you know. Yeah, I think that's good. And then he had a couple in here. I do like these spots, so I'm definitely going to be filling these in. These little, like right there, and then this little itty bitty one right here. So again, arms completely on, not breathing in, only exhaling. There. And I know it's probably pretty hard to see, but... And this little butt one, I love this little cheeky spot right here, a little cheeky pimple. Alright, and then yeah, we would go back to the watered down paint for doing those highlights. And this is a good spot where I was kind of saying before, where we can get some variation, right? So I still want this on his arm right here, so we're going to put this on his arm right here. And just kind of, you know, get it on there. Doesn't need to be perfect. And then I'm going to put a little bit right here. I'm going to put a little bit on his breast right here. Make sure I get all of it though. And then I'm gonna put, I liked it up there, so maybe just put a little bit on his back shoulder here too. And then a little bit on these top stalks. A little bit on this top stalk. A little bit on this top stalk. And then I'm going to just come back here with this and make sure that it didn't gloop onto these. It is still very, you know, very watered down, very diluted. I think I put a little bit up here too, because I like that. I like that idea of his topmost appendages being a little pinky. I'm going to do it on this one too, why not? Do a little bit of pink on both of these sides. And it's just a little, I mean, if you can really see it, it's almost, maybe you can't, but it's just a little bit. So we're adding just a slight variation to these different different colors here. I'm gonna add a little bit right here, I think, too, on his bottom cheek, and maybe just a little bit on each of these spots. Oh, I think that spot right there is screaming to have a little bit of pink on it. Let's do that. There. All right, another one done. See, once you get in the hang of these, they go pretty quick. Again, completely clean off the brush. Get all that excess water out of there. Get a little bit on that brush. All right, this is a new sculpt. This is a new sculpt, so we get to be completely new at this one. So let's take a look to see where we can fill in. Let's do his nipples. Those are always easy. Or their nipples. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. Do both nipples with this scar flesh. Well, those are big areolas. Is what it is. Let's see. I kind of want to get something into this spot right here. I don't know how well that's going to work. We'll see. We'll try to get a little bit in this one right here. Got that one. Let me get this little tummy one right here. Back anything? Nope. Okay, so then we're going back to the wash style pink, and it's got a lot on this, but I think I want to leave those breasts alone. I think I want to focus more on these tentacles, so I'm going to put some up here. I think up here on this side. Hopefully that's getting caught. Put a little bit up there, there. And you can go all the way out with these too, with the pink, all the way out to the edge if you want, because why not? You get both sides. I want a little bit on the shoulder here, I think, coming down. And again, no rhyme or reason to this, just kind of doing what I feel looks good. I want just a little bit right here too. On these. So this one looks like a lot of it's going to be on the back. It's just what I'm feeling. The back and butt area. Yeah, look at that. Should I put any on there though? Let's test it out. Let's see a little bit right here on the top towards the breast area, how that looks. Kind of weather it down in. That doesn't look too bad actually. So let's get a little bit up here, up to the top, and then we weather it down towards the nipple, leaving a little bit of the nipple exposed still with that straight flesh tone. Yeah, I think that looks good. I know it's kind of hard to see, but It's there. All right, that one's done. Next one. Told you this stuff goes quick once you actually get going. You know. Completely clean off the brush. You could probably skip this step too, to clean off the brush, but I like it just to keep my brushes clean. All right, this is the same one, so we're going to be doing the same thing. We're just going to, ooh, that's a lot of paint, but we'll see what we can do with it. Get those areolas on there. And do the same on this side. Oop. That's all right. She's got a bigger areola on this side. That's fine. And then we're going to get a little bit of water on there. See if we can squeeze in this thing again. There we go. A little bit of pink in this side too. There. I think it's looking pretty good. Yeah, so it is, I think I told everybody, but in the last video, may not. It's definitely winter here. We're in the depths of December while I'm painting all these minis. So that's why I have, the heater on. Because it's so dang cold down here in the basement. Specifically in my craft room where all of this stuff is. There's a lot of cool stuff that I would like to do, but it's hard to get down in here when it's so dang cold. So dang cold, you know? And what I did a little bit towards the top here. I like the way it looked after I finished it, so let's try to weather that down in there again. It's almost just like a staining that I'm trying to do here. Just trying to stain around the top here with just a little bit of pink. That might have been too much actually, but that's all right. Yeah, we're just trying to stain it and get it so it just has a different bit of color on there. I think that's good. And then I think I did a little bit here on the bottom, the back side here. A little bit down here. There we go. Wow, we're cruising along here, cruising along. And then this is the sculpt that I've already tested, so I kind of know what I'm doing with this one already. The last sculpt. Last sculpt and last little guy. So with this one, I tried to get around his face. Wait, you know what? His face looks a little different. Hold up. I gotta grab my test one. I don't remember. So it looks like I got in this spot, in that spot, got the two breasts, and then I did a little bit of accent on top. Okay, cool. So let's do that again. Let's get this big spot here. This big spot here. And then we'll get the two areolas. Oh wait, I need a little bit of a sharper point. The two areolas. There's one. And there's two. I just try to do little bitty circle motions for those. Just enough to try to get it in there. Oh wow, I even went for that little spot. Okay. All right, all right. I even went for this little bitty spot right here. So let's just touch that little spot. Did I get any on the back? No, most of those look too small. Okay. I did, however, do some highlighting here on the face. So what we do for these is we just kind of go along the lines here. This, I don't know how much I am, like, you know, bent on. This looks kind of, I mean, it's cool, but it's such a little accent that I'm not sure how much it's worth it. But let's get back into the wash areas. This one was this one was pretty easy, actually. So I just gave it a little bit here on the shoulder. A little bit here on the stocks. A little bit on the neck. And I'm going to do the same thing I did in the other one. I'm going to put just a little bit of pink here and feather it down towards the breast. There. And then I'm going to put a little bit down. No. Maybe just here on this little bitty arm here. And I want a little bit right there too. And this little cheeky roll. You see that bad boy sticking out? I want just a little bit of pink here. Just a bit. Might not even be able to see it. But I want it there. There we go. Cool. Done. Easy. Alright. We'll get that cleaned off. Now we have the big guy. The big guy I might zoom out for. It's kind of honka. It's a honka. Yeah, I want to zoom out. There we go. Alright. Whew. This one is big though. Where to paint, what to paint, that is the question. I think for this, we maybe hit the boils. Hit these little like over boil areas that are really sticking out. A little bit of water on there. And we don't need a whole bunch of these like areas where we're sticking on the boil area, but the more we get, I think the better it would look. I want this spot right here too. See if I can get it. Oh yeah, that's looking good. And see, even just these little bitty dots, you know what I mean? They bring out a whole lot. And since it's a pink tone, you think like, oh, it's way too bright. But once we hit it with the wash, it'll be fine. It'll be grayed a little, or not grayed, browned a little bit, and it'll look great. Let's hit this one too. I don't know what one's the actual areola here. So I'm gonna make a call. I'm gonna make it right here. It might be right, it might be wrong, I'm not too sure. That might be wrong. Oh well, that's alright. We'll get this other spot right here sticking out. Maybe this is the boob right here, or the breast. It's just right here, way up here, some crazy area. We do want these to be a little wet, and that's why it's good to use a wet palette. Dang. Didn't have enough paint on there. Alright. Let's try something like that. Maybe just a little bit more here on top. There we go. But like where to go after, it's very rough, very hard to see. I might just make it easy and just go... I didn't really look at this that much beforehand. These all look like teeth down here, or at least I can paint them as teeth. So I'm wondering if I can maybe hit them with this, and then when we go over it with the Agrax, it'll shade it a little bit more. Because right now, if I just put teeth on here, it'll look kind of weird. So if I give it like a gum look almost down here, and then paint the teeth, I'm hoping that that kind of makes it look a little bit better, if that makes sense. So we're going to try to just hit this area down here, roughly. Just so when we get to the stage of, you know, setting that up, maybe it'll look better. I don't know. This is me guessing. This is me not knowing color theory or anything like that. This is just me totally guessing and hoping that it works. Okay, we got the watered down stuff. Now let's start going into this. We're going to put a little bit right here, I think. Up here towards the top. Try to work it in. Over here, down this way. Try not to make it too noticeable. It is a little bit noticeable right now, so I'm going to try to feather it in quite good this way. Do the same here on this little chin fold. So a little bit here, and then we'll put a little bit on top. If I make his face just slightly different color than the rest of the stuff around him, I think it'll be easier to notice it. I hope. And then we want there to be a little bit of pink variation here on the side. This is like some sort of mouth, right? So I want it to be feathered out from this area. And what I also might even do is this be pink, and then as we get further out, it gets red or something, you know? I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, I can't know this stuff because I'm not really all that great at color theory and getting... Oh, oops, sorry about that. My head hit the camera. All that kind of stuff. But let's see. Let's just take a gander. We're just painting some pink on these arms. The watered down, I should say. The watered down pink. Just kind of blasting them on there. Helps if I keep it in focus here. And I really like it when it's on its arm, so I'm going to try to put this pink on the arm here. Although this arm is like very... got a bunch of bumps in it. Try that, I guess. I'm not sure I like this little nipple that I tried to paint here, so I'm just going to try to overbrush it here. Maybe calm it down a bit. Let's see. I let my brush get too dry. Hold on. Almost done here. I think we are just going to do the one color. I thought we'd be able to get more than that, but it looks like it's just going to be one color today. Which is fine, I guess, you know. It's can't control everything. Just the pink. That's alright. I think I got a little too ambitious with some of this stuff, but we'll have to wait and see what else comes from the... Yeah, now I'm just kind of getting crazy here. Seeing where the pink goes, seeing what it does. Getting this like extreme pink on certain areas. Letting it do what it do. I want more on its back too, I think. Maybe just a little bit here on the cheekies. Kind of feather it into all these areas. Oh, that's too much water. That's alright. Once we put the shade on these, it'll go back down. There we go. There. Got a little bit on his cheekies. Oh, a little bit right there too, actually. A little bit right here on his back. A little bit on the spot right here. Well, it's so great with these monster-styled creatures. It doesn't really have to make sense while you're painting them, because these accent colors, they're just going to get muted anyway in all the weird-looking flesh bits that are all around it, you know? Yeah, I think that's good. I think we're going to leave them like that. We're going to let them fully dry. I want a little bit more right there. Just right there, though. Yeah. We're going to let them fully dry. And we'll come back maybe tomorrow or the next day, one of these days, and then we'll add the dragon, the red dragon, to all of them. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Until the next time, peace.